Your memberships help us grow and keep free videos just like this one coming. Please consider joining the largest notary signing agent training course and notary resource library on the market today. Visit us at www.notarystars.com. All right, guys, we're making this very special addition to the general mentorship because BankServe recently sent out a letter stating all of the new security requirements that they are expecting out of notary signing agents. It's divided into two sections. The first section is what you actually have to do. The second section is what is suggested of you. We are only going to be going through what is required of you during this video, and I'm going to be sharing my screen. I asked, because this is being recorded, for you to actually hold your questions until the end. I will answer any questions, but let's get a clean recording for anybody that really needs this information, because we all know tomorrow morning when I release this, people are going to be driving around and we want to get straight to the meat of the information. All right, I want to make sure I'm sharing my screen there. I can see Mary Phibbs' face. So Mary Phibbs, can you see my screen? And Beth, can you see my screen? Perfect. Okay. So this is the trade vendor information security requirements and recommendations. Notice it says security requirements and recommendations. You'll notice this is divided into items 1 with points, and then items 2 with points. We are only going to go through items 1 in order to make sure that you understand those requirements. Couple of things right off the bat here. You will have to sign in order to continue to work for Fidelity in your BankServe account to agree to these items. Okay, so understanding them is really important for you. Okay, you can get sued for signing things and then not complying with it. So do not head to your BankServe account and just sign it, because these are actually kind of serious items here. So let's start, and I'm going to go through one by one and address these. So you need a secure email account. You must use an email service with the following secure security features fully enabled. Alexa, stop. A two-factor authentication, encryption of data stored on your device, encryption of data transit, end-to-end encryption via the most secure, currently pretty good privacy protocol available, user ID unique to the specific individual, no shared user ID accounts, complex password, which meets the password requirements section below. We'll talk about that in a moment. I'm going to suggest a hybrid for this because there is currently not a email service that's going to allow you to do both of these things that I know of that you can afford as a notary. Gmail does offer a two-factor authentication that you can turn on. You can Google those settings and have a two-factor email address. You can port your email over to Google, but or you can check your email provider. You can have a two-factor authentication. Later on, and like I said, you can get sued for not having these things and signing an agreement saying that you will have these things. There is, I don't know, in law. Okay, I'm not an attorney, nor am I practicing legal advice. I'm just know how this works. So you need a two-factor authentication. Gmail offers that. If you have another email service, that's what I've been using for years. You can turn on two-factor authentication. Now, encryption of data end-to-end. Gmail, I don't believe, offers that. Okay, so you're going to need something like Our Records. That means if you send someone's information that it's encrypted from end to end, you're going to need something from Our Records. I use Our Records at Unlimited Inc. every single day. We have an escrow officer that can't log in. She's working remote. No matter what happens, I use Our Records because I will not email documents. And I have tons of articles on this. I won't go into that tonight because we're going to rush through this. So I recommend a hybrid. You need to, as a notary signing agent, have access to Our Records, which is, tale as old as time for the notary signing agents. It's the best one out there. And then you need a Gmail account, which is two-factor authentication when you're just sending text. Of course, you should never include any social security numbers, identifying information. A person's name is okay. Even a property address is okay. That's public knowledge, unless you're working with an attorney or a judge that has their information locked. But if it's just a regular person, you can put their name or their address on there. So I recommend a hybrid situation to get past that security, that minimum requirement there. Now, using strong passwords, I won't read off this entire message here, but I will say that it says change passwords every 180 days. This is something that you need to really resonate with. This means you need to set a calendar reminder to change your passwords and stick to it. Because if they ever, and later we're going to talk about that they bring in audits for this, if you're ever audited and you are a security breach, guess who they're going to pin it on? Now, if you guys have been at Notary Stars or ever trained at Notary Stars, I talk about being in a Fidelity office and someone wiring their information to an entirely different entity. And the first words out of their mouth was, get the notary in here. The first words, I was standing next to it when they wired their money to India and came in and going, why haven't I received my keys? I sent my money 3 days ago. I was there. I saw it happen. Okay. BankServe is a subsidiary of Fidelity, whether they say it or not, because it's owned by the family members of Fidelity. They're going to operate the same way as Fidelity. It's their signing agency. It's kind of like Amrock is to Rocket Mortgage, is BankServe is to Fidelity. They're trying to push everyone to use there, and they have the same overhaul. That's why we hear the words Fidelity in this agreement here. So I recommend that if you are working with BankServe and you get a lot of business from BankServe, or if you get a little business from BankServe, that you will actually take their advice, set a calendar reminder. It says 180 days. If you are a lazy person that doesn't always do what they're told to do by their calendar, then I would suggest setting several reminders starting at maybe 130 days so that you know you got it done and you have a way to mark it done. Keep your, we're going to move on to item 1.3. Keep your devices and systems up to date with antivirus and anti-malware programs. This means that they need to be active on your computer. Windows Defender is a really great antiviral program. It's absolutely free. And then if you go to the Notary Stars website, if you're definitely in our ROM program, Malwarebytes is something that, and you guys have seen it pop up on my computer, is an antiviral program, anti-malware program. There are two different types of viruses. Viruses mess up your computer and make it unfunctionable where you can't use it. Malware actually goes in and manipulates your software so they can take information from you. You would be surprised if you've never put malware onto your computer, how much you will find malware is there. Every time you open an email, every time you go onto the internet, every time you go to a website, you are subject to malware. This is something that I believe notary signing agents should have, and this is a good time to plug it. I get nothing, no affiliate information from this, but I do carry $1 million in cyber coverage. No one is requiring it right now. I get mine from Hiscox. Again, I get no affiliate link, no nothing. I'm not going to put it in there. It's spelled Hiscox, Hiscox. I have an additional E&O policy that specifically covers cyber crime, even though I have antiviral software and anti-malware programs on my computer. Now, you cannot double dip, and I don't want to be inappropriate, but there's a thing from the 80s where you can't wear two rubbers and be safe, because then it actually starts causing more problems. It's the same way with computers, okay? If you put two antivirus programs on your computer, they start reading the dead viruses on each software and they will start fighting each other. So don't think that that's going to make you any more safe. You only need one antivirus program and one anti-malware program. My two preferred, Norton Antivirus or Windows Defender. And then for anti-malware is the Malwarebytes. And you can find that on the Notary Stars website on how to get that. And please go there, because that is an affiliate link. But it's only an affiliate link because I had to pay like $175 for an hour to a guy to come out to my house one day. And he was like, oh, this is what's going on your computer. Here's Malwarebytes. It's free. And then if you want to pay for the version of it, and then I found out I can get an affiliate on Amazon. So please buy it from the Notary Stars website under the resource section or under the RON section. The next item is be mindful where you store customer information. You should never store customer information unless you are required to do so or perform the services that you provide to the company. For information you are required to store, you must encrypt all insert. So I'm just gonna get right to the point. Signing order, SnapDocs, ZigSig, they are all secure portals. If you don't own those sites, you don't have a secure portal. Okay, that means that you are not to store on your home computer after the signing's done. If you work direct with Fidelity, which this applies to, and you believe me, you're going to have to sign this for them direct as well. You are not to store customer information on your computer. Thumb drives, CDs, anything you're backing up to is a big no-no. Okay, if you store it on signing order, that's a secure portal and it's there for 7 years. You can always access it. You can go back to it. SnapDocs, same thing. ZigSig, same thing. They may have different timelines. That's all the same information. But if you don't own those things, you have to be consistently deleting. And I encourage you to schedule a deletion date every 30 days, every 15 days, every whatever on your own calendar. And I did this before Unlimited Ink became Unlimited Ink, and I was partnered with Signing Order to hold all of my information for 7 years on a secure portal, which I have a contract for. Then I highly recommend you set a calendar date of deletion. Next item is to securely destroy all customer information and any hardware used to store customer information. Okay, so let's talk about loan documents. You have to have a shredder, and if you sign this agreement and you don't have a shredder and you get an audit, which I'll talk about that in a moment, then you can get sued because you didn't even have a shredder in your office. If I was an attorney and I was looking and I got a warrant and I wanted to come in your house and say, how did this happen? And you don't have a shredder sitting next to your desk or in your house, I'm going to sue you. Because why would you even say that you didn't discard them properly? That's for physical, tangible documents. Now, let's talk about digital. I had an assistant last year, and he laughed at me because I had a laptop. It was a Chromebook, and I was doing a lot of Ron signings on it. And I asked him, I said, I need you to go out and beat this with a hammer with an inch of its life and put it through the dishwasher. And he said, I'm not going to go out there in front of your neighbors and beat this with a hammer. And I said, no, this is how you discard a computer. And he didn't believe me. This is before this document. This is actually last year. I'm talking about this year when it come out. When you destroy a computer, you need to look up on the internet how to make sure, because you can literally just throw a laptop in a dumpster, and a good criminal can get it back out. They can get all of the information, all of those credit card numbers that you've entered in, anything that was recorded on that computer, they can salvage it. So, my best friend who works for IBM, one of my mentors in life, I've told stories about this on Notary Stars, so I'll spare you that. He's actually told me, like, you need to beat it with an inch of life, run it through the dishwasher. Don't put it in a microwave, you'll blow your house up. But run it through a dishwasher, beat it with an inch of its life, and make sure it's in multiple parts when you discard it. And take pictures of the process if you've been working for Fidelity, because they seem to be getting a little cracking down a little bit here. All right, next one is F&F right to audit. And I want to talk about this one because I think you guys need to know this, because you're signing a contract with Fidelity. It says F&F may conduct or engage a third-party conduct periodic reviews of your environment, processes, and controls. Do I think that they're going to hire a task force? No. And here's why. Fidelity makes I won't say the word, an S ton of money, but they're not going to spend any of that money. What they're doing is creating this agreement to create leverage against notary signing agents to have that in place, and they will use it only if they need to. They're never going to send a task force out going around policing our home offices or our cars. But if you make a mistake, better believe that they're going to enforce this agreement. Do you understand that kind of mentality? So FNF has the right to immediately terminate your services. Okay, great. If I did something wrong, terminate them upon your failure to cooperate or the failure of your environment to conform with the minimum security requirements set forth in the document. So this means if you email them documents and you don't send them through a SIFT, which is what they call in our records, in encrypted information, they can immediately deactivate you. You should be using the portals. Now, BankServe is a great portal. It's obviously going to be industry secure. SnapDocs, because they have Fidelity approved companies signing order, but you should never, and it's not just Fidelity. Fidelity is one of the largest and one of the largest grossing. This is a standard for all that you should be practicing. You just can't send any of that information. Now, if you are audited, I will tell you that you need to immediately contact an attorney. And this will, I will say, Fidelity, please call me. I'd love to talk about this. Because they can't have access to all of your computer information, especially if you're doing RON or anything. You should never hand over. You can only give them their client's information. At that time, you need a forensic computer scientist and an attorney involved if they want to take that route. And you are signing a contract that says that they can, but you're signing a contract for Fidelity. You don't work just for Fidelity. So please, if you are contacted or audited, contact an attorney immediately, or contact me and I'll help you get pointed in the right direction, because they can only go after their customer information. You can't never turn over information for all of your customers. That'd be like the police showing up for a warrant. Well, I guess if the police show up for a warrant or a journal, you have to hand over the whole journal. But if somebody contacts you for your journal, you only give them the line of the journal. You can't give them all of your other clients' information out of that journal. So we have a responsibility to maintain but comply. So at that moment, say I'm willing to comply, but I need to contact an attorney and go to other sources. The last one is logging on your email account or other systems that you use to provide notary services to Fidelity. Computer operating systems and business applications record or log events and tasks that as they happen. I will tell you, in my personal belief, they're getting prepared for RON, and I know that Fidelity has kind of been the last man, not last man standing. They've been really strict on RON. So keeping your logs, your notary journal, everything marked as Fidelity is going to be very sacred at this moment, because they're the largest, and let me tell you, they're not going to fall. They're like, I don't want to say anything rude because I work for Fidelity, but they're like the cockroach. Like, they're going to survive the Holocaust, like the nuclear war, whatever it is. They've been around, they have the money, and they're preparing this to survive because they know they're going into a digital age. And when we say log, we're now talking about a digital notary log. So you need to be able to log and know where your information is for Fidelity, where it's saved on the computer, those types of things. You need to know your electronic journal and be able to navigate those things. Those are really important. With that said, I'm open to answering any questions about this particular document. Everything else you can read for yourself, because these are suggestions. But these, I just wanted to make sure, because a lot of people freaked out when they saw this. It doesn't scare me because I understand two-factor authentication. I understand changing my passwords. These are things I already have in place with privacy policies for unlimited ink for other clients. But for a newer signing agent or someone that's not on the level of servicing 3,000 plus transactions a month, I can understand how this could be a little scary. So I wanted to do a special segment just on this. And Miss Beth, I saw your hand go up. So I don't know if that was an accident or did you actually have a question earlier about this particular document?
No, I don't remember now. It's not important. I think I was going to mention a different software product as well. So it's in the chat.
Okay, perfect. And I see hands going up. Miss Anissa, you are ready for your question. I'm ready for your question.
Hi. My question is, you mentioned the malware bytes and some antiviral something, but what about for Apple computers? Do they use the same? I am not computer literate.
Yes, all antiviral and all malware products make a version for both Mac and Windows computing systems. So you should be able to find the same ones for both. Now, Windows Defender may not, it will not be on Mac. They may have their own free version of it, and if somebody knows, please post that into the chat for Miss Anissa. But Norton definitely does have a Mac version of the Norton antiviral program. Malwarebytes, as far as I know, services both. Okay, and I saw your thumb go up, but if you have more questions, just virtually raise your hand. Always a pleasure when you're here. If you guys don't know who Miss Anissa is, she is probably one of the best notaries we have in the Arizona market. There's a lot of them, but she is one of them. And she actively, even though at white glove status, still participates in all the trainings she can. And I just love her to death. Miss Mary, you are up next with your question.
I was just wondering other people's experience with our records. I had it for a while, but I didn't need it. And I saw a comment on Facebook about some title officers not being able to go onto a computer, and because they'd have to go to a website that was not their own. And I didn't know if anybody had any difficulty with that.
I have escrow officers that swear they didn't get the email and all these things, but the thing is that we can't send. I have had escrow officers with my own company try to get me to send regular emails because they don't want to do it, and I get emails from them on a secure email, and I'll tell
Okay.
you from a two-way mirror, right?
Mhm.
I hate doing the two-factor authentication on their end because you can't do it from a cell phone. You got to be on a regular computer. You got to get an email. You got to get the email. Then you have to like wait for a password to come in and you have to register. It's a process. And a lot of them don't want to go through it, but I'll tell you, they're getting the damn emails. And I've caught a few of them saying, oh, I didn't get it. And then call their manager and be like, well, I can't send it any other way. They can either do the secure portal or the email. So sometimes you just have to hold your ground and be like, this is the ways that I have to offer you. You
Okay.
can check your spam folder or wait for the email. But our records, we've never had a problem with it. We've only had liars that said they had a problem with it. And I
Okay.
say that publicly, owning a company, and you can clip it and go back and say it, because the only people we've ever had a problem are those that are high maintenance and liars that said that they didn't get it. But then when we hold our ground, they go, oh, I found it.
Okay. I do have another question, but it's not specifically about this email. It is security related.
Sure, go ahead.
Do you know what automatic patching is? This came up when reading First American's recommendations.
I have no knowledge of automatic patching, so I would have to.
Beth is nodding her head, so maybe
Okay,
Beth has.
so Beth, you can take lead.
Yeah, all operating systems, Microsoft, particularly with Windows products, you have to actually enable automatic updates or automatic
Oh,
patches
okay.
system so that they run automatically. And they want you to be up to date on all of those, because a lot of those, some are program enhancements, some are plugging holes in their system for hackers when they discover a weak point that allows hackers to enter a system, a Windows system. They'll do a bug fix or a patch, and that's what they're wanting you to do, is just enable your software to automatically do those updates and patches.
Okay, thank you.
To that note, enable them to do in, like 10:30, 11:30, 12:30 at night when you're not going to be using your computer. I have mine set at 2:30 in the morning where they can update the computer, and then I come in and it'll let me know it was updated. Same thing I do with my cell phone. Business owners, you kind of want to stay up to date, but Adobe is one that you really want to keep updated. You want to schedule a reminder maybe every quarter to make sure. If you've ever downloaded a package where you see those web dings, and if you're not from 1980 or 1990, you might not know what web dings are. So the little symbols and characters that look like Egyptian handwriting all over your paper, that's because you haven't updated Adobe, or they may be using a more advanced version of Adobe. So staying up to date on your software is really important. Updating your cell phone, updating, your computer, those are all really important. But I wasn't aware of the term of the patch. I just call it updating.
Updating a software patch is security.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Guys, we started at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We're almost at 7. So if you do have questions about this, please get your hands raised virtually. You guys know I'll stay here to answer those questions, but I wanted to make sure to go over this with everybody. And I'll do a last call after Ms. Harmani here. So Ms. Harmani, when you are ready, you can ask your question.
Hey, everyone. It's Harmony. You had it right the first time in the first
Sorry.
class. Quick question. So you were saying that we have this malware and this bytes and all the rest of that. I'm still trying to get used to these terminologies. Well, how does McAfee play in that? Do they have, because I actually have McAfee, but I don't know if it's doing both of the malware and the
No,
other.
so McAfee is an antiviral program. So you already have an antiviral program. Some popular names for antiviral programs on Windows are, and if you know some that I'm not naming because I'm only going to name 3, please type them into the chat for everybody. But the big ones are Windows Defender, if you're on Windows, Norton Antivirus, and McAfee are the biggest antiviral programs. As far as anti-malware, I've only been introduced to it in the last 3 years of my life, but Malwarebytes is my preferred one. There are other anti-malware programs, but antiviral programs do different actions or fight different types of things than antiviral programs. To my knowledge, there is not one that does both. They either focus on viruses or they either focus on malware. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that is my knowledge of the world so far. So if you have McAfee, you have an antiviral program. Now you would need an anti-malware program.
There's a
And
couple
then
of,
lastly, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to mention, there's a couple of people in the chat here saying that they use AVG. AVG is a really good program for encryption. They actually use Department of Defense 5202 security on their systems. So it's a pretty high level, pretty good program. And the size of AVG is smaller than Norton or McAfee. Those 2 programs are just bloat your system. So AVG is a good option for you too.
Okay. And then that letter from BankServe, I haven't worked with BankServe, but I know that there are other clients that work with Fidelity, and I don't recall receiving this letter. Is there somewhere where we can get access to this letter so I can look at the notes and go line by line with?
I'll post it in the chat, and I will tell you that it doesn't open for me for everybody on my regular. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can share this. So let's see, save. I'm going to save it to my computer and see if we can upload it.
But I did recently have to sign one of those letters with another title company before I got hired with them. And so I have some familiarity of what you were talking about when you went through this letter.
Unfortunately, I've had a hard time getting it to download. I had to actually open an incognito browser to get it to come up on the screen today. So I can't get get it into the chat. So if you didn't receive it, you may need to contact any Fidelity related company that you're working with and see if they need you to sign it. But definitely those working with BankServe are going to have to sign this before June 30th or June 1st. I can't remember which date it was, that are going to have to sign it in order to continue servicing for BankServe. And it doesn't say on the actual letter, it just says in the email, and I have the letter opened up. So I don't know if I'm going to actually reach out to Fidelity as a directly approved notaries, seeing if there's a documentation for us to sign for direct notaries. But I assume this is going to trickle down into signing agencies as well that are approved for Fidelity. Next question is from Miss Pat, and I'm glad that you made it because you're one of the people that wrote me about it.
Yes, can you elaborate a little bit about the our records?
Sure. So Our Records is an encrypted email system. You just go to ourrecords.com and you would need to sign up for an account, and then they have their own tutorial of how it works. So if you send emails that, like, let's say you needed to send scanbacks to somebody, or you needed to send any client sensitive information, an ID, you would need to send it through Our Records, not your email. Even if you have two-factor authentication on your email, that's not end-to-end encryption. That's just preventing someone an extra layer from logging into your email. The end-to-end encryption is going to come from something like Our Records. Now, there are other products out there, but Our Records is the one that I use. And I don't have any knowledge of any other ones to give you guys if you find your own. But Our Records is kind of industry standard with the loan signing agents at the moment. And you would go and they would teach you how to use their program. And if you're going to send email, you would upload it to the email and send it, and it goes as what they call a SIFT, and then it's end-to-end communication and encryption, meaning that no one can intercept, or theoretically can intercept, that email.
And so my idea that they themselves will change, because most of my documents, Fidelity, somebody at Banksters, they send them to me via email. And I usually, because I thought they were safe, so I always send them back through them. So my idea that they themselves will have to change that part of sending me documents to my email.
Correct. So that means if you send them back to them, they're going to need to go through a secure email.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I was just doing a quick search on AVG because I used to use that a lot, and it does say that it uses AES 256 end-to-end encryption, and that is used by the U.S. government for highly sensitive information as considered by cybersecurity experts to be impossible to crack. So AVG is a good program for you guys. You still would need to add that malware bytes and some type of SIFT program. Once it leaves your computer, it needs to be sent securely as well. But AVG is a good product.
Thank you, Miss Beth. And Miss Gloria, you're up next.
Yeah. Hi, Ronnie. This might be for Beth, but I've been watching the chat, and people are talking about WebRoot and whether it does or does not do antivirus and anti-scrub malware, whatever. Like, would it cover both of those? Because I have that through Carbonite, but then my second question is, Carbonite is backing up everything on my computer all the time. So if I have like files on there, those are actually going into the Carbonite on the cloud, correct?
They are, so you may not want to back up those files those loan files. If you're using Carbonite, you can go in and check those files or keep them in a folder that you've specified to tell Carbonite not to back up those files in that folder. And then as you go through and you're ready to delete those files off your own personal system, you're going to use the function to permanently delete them from your computer. Can't just drag and put them in the trash, because even if you empty your trash, they're still on your hard drive. So Carbonite has that feature, and WebRoot has that feature where you can permanently shred or delete them off your computer.
And then Miss Gloria, I also just posted an article, and I want to read this sentence from the article because I think it's really important when it comes to, let me go back out and come back in. I posted the article for everyone to do, but hold on, I got it froze. Well, it closed the article for me. Let me see if I can open it again. Okay, here we go. It says WebRoot monitoring system works with all malware types. So What that means to me is that their monitoring system works with malware. So that means they're not providing it. So if I'm reading that sentence correctly, and you can go back and read the article that I posted, they're an antiviral program that works with malware. So they're not providing the malware component of that.
Okay, thank you. I thought someone put in the chat that they scrub malware. And so I guess I interpreted that as they get rid of it, but I
Yeah.
guess that's not, okay.
The article that I'm reading is from PC Magazine, which is a respected source. And if
Uh-huh.
you really read it, and I had it highlighted on my screen. Give me one moment. I'll just share the screen so you can see the same thing that I'm seeing. I'm always one that goes for the context, and you'll see on the screen here that it highlighted it. WebRoot's monitoring system works with all malware types. So if it works with malware preventatives, then that means it's not doing it. So you can use that program, but that is my take on it. I am not a computer scientist. I train notaries and I teach marketing.
Well, and that's a good point right there. So y'all need to do your own homework. So he's giving you those points, those areas that you need to protect, right? You need to have an antivirus, you need to have a malware product, and you need to have end-to-end encryption or a SIFT, third-party program.
And
So
again, remember the theme of Notary Stars is the path of least resistance, right? We don't leave any room, and I play a little game every day called "You Won't Get Me" because I look too pretty to go to jail. I am I'm just not going.
yeah.
Does that
Thank
cover you
you.
for your question, Miss Gloria?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. We have 2 last questions up for tonight, and then we are going to call it a night because we are over 2 hours tonight. Miss Mary, you are up next.
Okay, you're gonna hate me. I have two. So the first one is about receiving emails. I about probably 4 times a month, I get emails from escrow officers. Sometimes I can tell they're secure because they either send me a password or I have to create a password to get into their encrypted file. But other times I'm not sure if it's secure. It just comes to me. So are we, like, if I sign up with a new company, can I just tell them I can receive emails just with my regular email?
Here's the thing, if they're breaking the law, then that's up to them. Your job is not from the email that's sent to you, only from the antiviral and the anti-malware programs are you covered. You, on the other hand, when you send it back, needs to be encrypted. I
Okay.
know that there are a lot of escrow officers that email documents around all the time. I see it all the time at Unlimited Ink. I actually just had to get onto a client about it this week and saying, you are on the hook for this if it happens because it's in the contract. And now they're uploading to the portal like they should. So you have to, educate your clients too. If you're not logging in for a password and it doesn't say encrypted, it's not an encrypted email.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question is, if we want to go a step up and be able to encrypt our messages for our own email, we just need to investigate how to get a business email. I'm not sure.
Can you
what to
repeat that
do.
question? Because I didn't quite.
Okay, sorry, that was a terrible question.
It's not a terrible question.
so-
You just didn't understand it.
No,
Maybe
it
the
wasn't worded
reception,
very
because
well.
it is 7 and I get up at 5.
Okay, so let's say we don't want to use our records and we want to be able to encrypt our own emails, what we send.
I say, unless you have a degree that allows you to do that, then do use products and services that do. And I mean
Okay.
that with all love and sincerity, but I don't create things that you don't understand because
No, I understand that, but I guess what I'm asking is, are people able to do that directly from their own email?
there's
Yes.
not okay, go ahead.
All you need is a VPN, a virtual private network, and that can be done a number of different ways. That can be done through your antivirus software, and I think NordVPN offers that, right? Or if you have a domain on like GoDaddy, and you can have GoDaddy set up for your business emails that go through that domain, regardless of whether they're forwarded to your Gmail account or not. They can set you up on a VPN for a fee, a price as well. What you need to remember with VPNs is because they're virtually a private network, you might find yourself missing notifications to your PC. Because it's a private network, you're not going to get hits from non-secure sites. So you won't get emails. You won't get job offers. I mean, I've got 2 companies that all they do is send me emails, and it's impossible to work for them because they don't see my emails in time, right? It goes through a server that looks and checks and scans and does all of this crap. And by the time I get it, it's gone. So you just need to know that there's a few pitfalls with a VPN.
And I just want to throw my 2 cents in on that. You guys know I'm very opinionated. I call it the path of least resistance. Going through all that work to set up things that you're not skilled to do is a lot of work when you can just do our records and you know that's their job. Sometimes as a business owner, it's better to delegate and pay an extra few dollars to just have it done, for you. Setting it up yourself, setting up a website yourself, absolutely. I preach that all day, every day in my marketing calls. But setting up virtual private network and making sure it's secure, I don't want to be in question if it goes to court or if somebody comes to my house and says, did you do this properly? I actually want to be like, excuse my language, bish, I got our records and that's all them. Because I pay money for this. I don't want to have any question.
Well, there is some truth with keeping it simple for sure. Because listen, we have enough complicated things to keep straight, don't we?
Exactly. But I appreciate the question, Miss Mary. I just wanted to put my 2 cents on it. Okay.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, this is all new to me. And in fact, I could barely get the question out. So thank you.
Thank you. Now we have 2 last questions for tonight. The next one's coming from Miss Nancy Fauché out of Florida. We are talking to Ocala Notary Public near me here.
That's me. Quick question. Dropbox, is that like the same thing as our records?
No, Dropbox is not the same thing as our records, nor is Google Drive. So you need to look, our records, you may Google our records competitors, but it needs to be end-to-end secure email, encrypted email is what you're looking for. And no, Dropbox is not encrypted.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last question for tonight is from Miss Pat again.
I didn't unmute myself. Okay. I was just hearing what you were saying that if you upload scan backs through any of the main portals, because usually with banksters, you always have the green button to upload stuff. So I've never uploaded anything to them without going through them. So that would be a safe way to do also.
Yes, the portals like Signing Orders, BankServe, SnapDocs, they all have a way for you to upload, and those are industry standard secure. Nobody would be using them if they weren't. They wouldn't even be able to make it into these conferences to sell to title and escrow or signing agencies if they weren't industry standard secure. So if you work through those portals, it's best to use those portals. And I see every day a notary on signing order, because that's the portal we use at Unlimited Ink, that goes, I don't know how to upload to the portal or learn, because that's one less thing you have to pay for. With BankServe, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't worked for BankServe in a long time because I'm Fidelity Direct. And any of the escrow officers that have used me will use me direct. Correct me if I'm wrong. They also have a way when you have an order to upload the documents to their portal. So technically you can just upload them to the portal and not need to send a SIFT or those things. However, if you're working with other Fidelity offices that may hire you direct, you're going to need to send a SIFT or a secure email and encryption, because you will be the one that gets in trouble for that.
Okay, now that makes me feel a little bit better, because like many times I receive stuff directly from title or escrows, yes, into my email. But when I upload, I always go through the portals. I never send them back email like that.
Yep.
Okay, so now I understand it better. Okay.
Yep. And everybody here, you know, for the last few that are here for tonight, I know we went over, you know, 2 hours and 31 minutes. I want to tell you, you literally can get sued for emailing documents. Even if someone encourages you to, you have to be the one to hold up the standard. Let the other notary email the documents to the client. And I don't mean let them email your documents. Let those dumb notaries out there that don't know any better, that didn't seek any training, work with those escrow officers that don't really care about the notaries. Anybody that cares about you is going to be holding up these standards that we've talked about tonight. Don't put your neck on a chopping block, because there is not one single escrow office out there that can support or sustain your entire and full life. You need to have a lot of clients, you need to have a lot of different things, and you need to have industry standard. And I will tell you, you will see way more of this coming up as RON becomes a factor, because we're living in the digital age. So you might as well get used to it. You know, when they were saying getting used to it 10 years ago, now you really got to get used to it. So we got to, you know, make sure that we hold up that standard, because we will be the ones, those of us that hold up that standard will be the ones that move into the future. Those who make the mistakes and don't really adhere to what's being told to them or what's happening from the largest title agency in the country, which Fidelity is, they're going to be the ones that get their, you know, there'll be some examples made out of them. I will take one last question since the hand is up. From Ms. Hicks, if you are ready, you'll be our last question for tonight.
So quick question, with our records, am I able to use my Gmail? Regular already Gmail
You can
account, or do they give you a whole nother one? I'm trying to understand that process.
No, you'll just need to sign up with them, but you'll use your same email, but it's it comes from your email and goes back to your email, but it comes through
Goes through that.
a middleman.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you taking that call.
No problem. All right, guys, we did it earlier and I need to do it again because this is going to be a separate video for everybody. I know some of you on the East Coast are, you know, it's 8, 9, 10, 16 at night. You might be in your pajamas, but tonight we don't care. Please turn on your cameras. There were some that dropped off the call, I know, because they had to go to bed. But if you are here tonight, please turn on your cameras. My lights will probably be off in 12 minutes because Alexa automatically turns off my office to remind me to get out of the office. But let's do our signature wave for those that couldn't stay. We had a lot of fun going over this document tonight. Wave to yourself. Wave to those future notaries that are going to watch this. Wave to those that couldn't stay long. Wave to those that are watching the replay. And I'm going to say it for Miss Beth tonight so we can get off the call. Here at Notary Stars, we believe when you get to where you're going, you reach back and you take somebody else with you. I appreciate all of you for sticking it out tonight with us, and I love you all. Have a wonderful night. And Miss Beth, thank you for letting me just dub over your part for this particular short episode. Have a wonderful night, everybody.